Hi, welcome back to Dotspot. Okay, looking at young and old characters, people have said, what is it that makes a character look young or look old? So to give you an example, I've just pulled up some of my drawings here. And let's have a look first of all at this here. Look, this is a baby, okay? And you can tell that he's a baby. Now his features are very different from the older child or the teenager that we have here. So what is it? Our features are in the lower half of our head, okay, and this remains to be the same. What happens is this lovely ball head starts to elongate as we get older. So there are a few key things that we have to remember to make people look older. One is their heads start to get less round and longer. We have more hair than we did when we were a baby and a teenager. And we start to thicken up. We grow into our rather large ears that we have when we're a kid. We grow into them as a teenager. But our ears and our noses never stop growing. So a tiny little baby nose here starts to get bigger as a child and even bigger as a teenager. So let's move along a little bit. And as the teenager turns into a man, his features, which have remained since he was a child, he's losing some of the baby fat and becoming much more chiseled, growing a bit of stubble. His nose is longer. He's had a good haircut. He's grown into his ears finally. And his neck is starting to thicken up. As he moves forward into his middle age, you can still see the same shape of the face, but you're starting to see these lines coming in here now around the eyes, around the nose and the mouth. And he's losing a lot of his hair. He's got a few tufts left. And the skin is starting to encroach around the eyes. His neck is thicker. And then in his 80th year, what happens is the skin gets very, very loose. So you have a lot of loose skin hanging down off our bones, a lot more wrinkles, a lot more bags around the eyes. The ears are bigger, the nose is bigger. He has some spots. He has a lot less hair. Okay, so these are the things that we're looking out for. So let's start with the baby. Essentially, a baby's head is round. So we're just going to do a little rough guide here. A round, rough. And our features generally come in the lower half of our head. Okay, so the ears, little guy, little ears, and then eyes over here. Okay, so we just start to work out these features. So big pair of big eyes, cute baby, and little ears. I have another tutorial on how to draw ears, so if you're a bit stuck on how you do them, then you can check that out. And babies have lots of baby fat, so he still has a chin, but we give him a lot of baby fat. Cute baby fat. A little tiny nose. Our features, our baby features, are all kind of squashed up. A smiley mouth and one tooth just to ramp up that cuteness. Looks a bit like Halloween at the moment. Let's give him some eyes. The bigger the eyes are, the cuter he appears to be. And let's give him a big fat round head. It's mainly just fat on the bones. Babies, just fat on the bones. Okay. Little cute little eyebrows. And some tufts of hair. Up like that. Okay. So there he is. And give him a little lip as well. And we can just put a highlight in his eyes. It just helps to bring him to life a bit. Okay, so it's a little baby. Quite cute. He would have no neck really at this stage. And he's a little bit big on the page. So what I'm just going to do, just to make some space for a new drawing, is just scale him down a bit. So that when we go to the next drawing, we have some space. Okay, I might just fill in that area there, make them look even cuter. So going forwards from this stage, we go into the 5-year-old child. And the head is a bit bigger. But we essentially have this ball at the top of our heads, which is the back of our cranium. And the child's head will start to elongate. And so the chin will be a bit further down. Features still along the bottom half. The ears are starting to get a lot bigger though. Okay, and you often see kids with really sticking out ears, which is quite funny. And his eyes, putting his little eyes here again, just in the lower part of the head. And what happens is this nose now is starting to drop down a bit and get a little bit bigger, but he's still quite young, so we'll just keep it still quite small. And his grown teeth, and maybe some of them are starting to fall out, so we'll just give him some big teeth and a bit odd bods like that. And big eyes. And don't forget the baby fat. He's still got the baby fat going on his chin. And lots of hair. Because when you get to be a tyke little kid like this, you usually have tons of hair at this stage of our lives. All hanging over. Oops. There we go. Let's give him a little smile. Bring that cheek up to give him his smile. Little tyke. You could give him some freckles. That should be quite cute. Over his nose. Just get rid of the extra line. We don't want him to look tired. Okay, bright and breezy, cute little kid. Okay, very good. So coming now into the next section, I'm just gonna, before I do that, just colour in the hair. Now we're going to take the boy into his teenage years. So we still start with the ball for the head, and but the head has started to elongate now, so we'll take it down a bit longer. Teenagers can be quite skinny as it goes. So still in the lower half of the head we have the ears, which perhaps he's finally grown into. Can still be a little bit big in the teenage years. And give him his eyes. The nose will be a bit longer than it was, going to come down a bit, and he will have grown a full set of teeth by now. So let's give him some teeth. He looks quite a happy teenager. And we still give him his distinctive face shape with the chin, which will become more and more distinctive the older he gets. Okay, and some eyes. So it looks pretty weird being bald and not very teenage at all, so we need to give him some hair, give him a good haircut. And he's still got his same distinctive black hair. And we're going to pull it over, and in a very teenage fashion we're going to pull it right over the top of his eyes like this, so we can't see him and he can't see us, and pull it over, actually all over his ears as well. Let's give him a full mask like that. And I'm gonna colour that in a minute. So is a teenager, and he could have a bit of stubble, the first beginnings of some stubble or some spots on his face. He's still got his freckles maybe, but they're getting a bit less. We could give him the impression also that he's a little bit a tired teenager like this. And we didn't put the neck in here. Actually, the child would have quite a skinny neck like this, cartoon land. And the teenager would start to have a slightly thicker neck with the Adam's apple starting to stick out like this. And now we're going to colour in his hair. Okay, let's take him into his 20s. So over here, and make a new drawing. And just rough out where his head is, where his chin comes, more or less, and the halfway stage for his ears. So then we're going to draw in his ears. If you want to know how to draw ears for cartoons, I have another tutorial for that on my site, which will help you out there. You don't need to be afraid of ears. Okay, so let's draw in his eyes. And in his 20s, in our 20s, we start to have the optimum features. Our features become much more chiseled. So we're going to give him this nice chiseled jawline. This one is starting to extend and become very pronounced. And his nose too. Let's bring that down. And a big smile as usual. Some nice teeth. Give him some lines there as he's starting to get older. Okay. And we could just work in this so we can give him a bit more shape on his eyes, especially that one. Some nice eyebrows. Nice and thick. His hair is nice and thick. When you're in your 20s, you have lots of good hair. And we can give him some proper hair. Give him a nice haircut. So he would be able to grow a beard at this stage. So you can bring his sideboards down past his ears. And then we're going to go up and give him this hairline here, which comes across, and have it sticking up like this. And some stubble. And you can really start to work in this. If you want to define the nose slightly, you can bring it in there like this. And give him some nice lips. And we're just colouring this bit in the side there. I'm going to colour in his hair now. And we can give him some earrings, which can help to bring in that sense of being in his young 20s. Okay, then what happens? Going through into middle age. So we can have the same. We start with the same base each time, the round head, and putting in our references, so where we're going to put the jaw and where we're going to put the ears and the eyes. So his ears start to get a bit bigger by this age, and because our ears never stop growing, and nor do our noses, so his nose is starting to get a lot bigger, and his face is still the same shape, but he's starting to just get a softer appearance. As the skin, he's maybe getting a bit fatter, rounder. And we go up over his head. So this is the basic shape. And then we'll put in his eyes, start to age him. And have him looking at us. And we give him a smiley mouth again. Maybe his teeth are starting to chip or crack. So unfortunately, we'll give him that in the mouth. And then we start to define the lines that are coming from the corner of his nose around the mouth area, which will help to give him this more sense of age, the eyebrows, and also start to work in the bags under the eyes. And this will help to give him his age too. Starting to get a bit tired, and the skin is starting to encroach over the top of the eyes. Okay, stubble, And we're going to give him a bit of hair because he's starting to lose his hair, but he's still holding on to a bit, so we just work with it at the sides above the ears, which is generally where most men tend to hold on to it for the longest. So that will help to give him some age, and we'll just put some few fronds over the top and a few worry lines. And this guy, we didn't do his neck, so we can give him his neck, which is starting to thicken up and get nice and strong here. And on this one, he's still got quite a thick neck, and maybe it's just getting slightly more flabby than it was when he was in his 20s. Okay, and you can start to neaten this up. Don't be afraid to scribble. You can always go back and use a rubber or a marker pen to draw over any lines. Okay, get that feeling, get that sense of movement into your drawings. Okay, and then we're going to take him in this final gap into his oldest years. So again, we start with the same references, but we're going to really go for his ears this time, because your ears, as I said, they never stop growing. So we're really going to push them large, and with the jaw and the bones on your face, the skin starts to hang off from them. So we're just going to pull this straight down here and put in the head shape. We're putting the eyes, they're slightly smaller. Our eyes don't actually shrink, but the skin starts to encroach over them, and it just gives the impression that they are shrinking. Our nose is never stop growing, so make his nose even bigger than it was. And he can still be smiling, but just like when he was a baby, he's perhaps got a few less teeth in his head. Okay, let's fill that in. And this is where the skin starts to hang down from the corner of the mouth, like this, into these jowls here. And they form these jowls, or they hang off the bones. And the once former tight jawline becomes very saggy and baggy. I might just move him up a bit to give myself a bit of space here. Let's give him a bit of space, so I can get in his the neck, which also will start to be quite saggy and baggy neck. Might even be hanging over the collar slightly, like this. We give him a few more wrinkles at the top, a bit of sparse hair, like this, a few little fronds at the top there. And we have to age his eyes, so he's still looking, his eyes still seem quite young, so let's give him lots of bags under his eyes. As you get old, you start to get these saggy skin everywhere. Okay, and the bags under his eyes, and these jowls, and we give him some skin spots, which will also help to age him. Little eyebrows. Okay, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please check out my other tutorials on ear drawing, nose drawing, and various other things. Okay, I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.